Hey everybody, it's Bishop Barron. I'm delighted to be here with Mark Wahlberg to talk about his new movie, Father Stu, which I think is one of the great movies in recent years about the priesthood. And I want to ask you first about that. What was your motivation for doing it? For me, it was a wonderful affirmation of the priesthood at a time when the church really needs it. But what was motivating you to do it?
Well, I would say that I did pray and hope that it would encourage people to come to church and to the vocation of priesthood. But for me, I've been very fortunate and very blessed, and God's been wonderful to me, and so I always felt like all of these wonderful things that have happened throughout my life and my career since I turned my life around and focused on my faith were for a reason. And how did God want me to utilize and handle those things and utilize those gifts? And so I felt through my work and the platform that I have and the voice that I have to be able to do something that was meaningful, and hopefully whether it be people of the Catholic faith or people who are lapsed or people who are kind of lost, and just kind of encouraging them to find their faith and not lose hope.
Yeah. And of course, the priest made a major difference in your own life.
Oh, absolutely. I've been very, very fortunate. Some wonderful and amazing people have come to me and really kind of introduced God and faith to me, and then pointed me in the right direction and kept me on that path for quite some time.
During the movie, I thought a lot about Fulton Sheen's characterization of a priest as a Jacob's ladder. And he meant you got to connect people from earth to heaven. So the priest has to be connected to the upper realm, the heavenly realm, but he's got to be grounded too. If he's just up there, he won't connect people. Yeah. And that great scene, every priest, believe me, the seminarian would recognize that, when Stu and his seminary classmate go into the prison. And of course, the poor guy, he's a man of books and ideas and all that, but has no idea how to connect to these guys. And Stu is so grounded, So he's a Jacob's ladder. And then by the end of the film, you see it, all these people lining up, because they know, I can climb on this guy to get to heaven. That struck me as a really powerful image in the movie.
Yeah, I think, he had a lot of credibility and authenticity and real life experience that is invaluable. And he could speak to those inmates because he was one of them. And if he didn't turn his life around and go in a different direction, that would have been him. And that certainly was my life as well. And somebody very special came to me and touched me in a very similar situation. And that was kind of like the starting point for me to start focusing on my faith.
Talk to me about providence. That strikes me a lot in this movie. Is a lot of even believers think that God is maybe a distant, supreme being, but not really involved in our lives. But the biblical idea is that God is intimately involved in our lives.
In every capacity.
He's drawing us all the time, luring us. And the great scene when the beautiful young woman who first attracts Stu, he has no interest in religion whatsoever, but he's attracted to her. But she leads him to the parish, to the church, to baptism, and eventually to the priesthood. It's God strangely operative in our lives. You've sensed that in your own life, I'm
It's
sure.
the same thing when I was sitting at dinner with Father Orion and Father Ed, and he kept telling me this story about this priest and how this should be my next movie. And I'm just like, we're just trying to have our Dover soul. Me and Father Orion, we're talking about the Boston Celtics, or we're talking about sports. But he just insisted on kind of telling me the story until it resonated with me. And then, of course, that was 6 years ago. Then it became my mission to get this movie made and to tell this story and continue to tell, share Stu's story. So absolutely, I think, how the whole thing came together. I've always been praying for Stu's intercession and God's intercession, especially Mary obviously played a very, very pivotal role in the film and in Stu's life. And so many amazing women have obviously played big roles in my life.
I liked how explicitly supernatural the movie was. So we have visions of the Blessed Mother, which he had. And that one enigmatic scene where it seems like the Lord himself, comes and talks to him at the bar there. I like that about Stu's story. It's not just a, this worldly account of the priesthood, but he's really in touch with a higher realm.
Yeah, we still tried to make it grounded in reality. But yes, I think, these things happen. Stu talked about these visits that he had and other people that were there and experiencing various parts of Stu's life, and even in his passing where, a lot of people in the room thought they saw it and felt it. And Bill was like, I don't know what these guys are talking about. They're all crazy. And some people pick up on that and some people don't.
Especially credible coming from someone like him, right? So it's not somebody you expect to hear all these stories of supernatural manifestations from this boxer. So it gives it a real credibility. But I like the frankly supernatural quality of it. Boy, the suffering theme is so powerful. And we're not just talking about God in this movie, but about the Christian God, the God of Jesus Christ, manifested on the cross of the Lord. Suffering leading people to God. I mean, it's such a basic biblical theme, but we still struggle with it. We still say, why, but Stu got that in his bones, didn't he? He understood that suffering opens him up to God in a deeper way.
Yeah, well,
Talk
the way
about that.
he handled it with such dignity and grace and even embracing it, and felt like, well, he always kind of just looked at it from the point of, he had a very hard life. He made lots of bad choices. He had lots of things that he did that he was not proud of, and he probably deserved worse. And so whatever was going to come his way, he was going to embrace it. And to kind of lose all of the things that were so important to him, all of his physical attributes, but yet to see his spirit grow in the way that he did was really inspiring. And I saw that also in the passing of my mother during the making of the film, and how she handled it, and how she comforted us in the time of her most suffering.
It's a tough message to get across. It's so
It is,
basic
but
to
it's
Christianity.
everybody relates to it.
Right.
Christians, non-Christians. I mean, everybody. We're all dealing with it. It's inevitable, right? Especially mortality and loss and suffering and all the unknown. Couldn't be more timely. Even that. The movie coming out now when the world really needs it. When there's so much emphasis on negativity, and it's amplified as opposed to the reminder of hope and faith and love and supporting each other and the things that really matter.
Strikes me a lot when people, as a priest, you hear all the time, Father, why this happen? Why is my mother suffering? Why are my kids suffering? And the Bible, I don't know any exception to this. There's no great figure in the Bible who doesn't suffer. Everyone in the Old Testament, all the great figures, and of course culminating with the Lord himself, that we put it front and center. It's not like a minor theme in the Bible.
Yeah.
And so Stu is kind of a contemporary icon of that, I was struck the scene when you were praying, as Father Stu, and giving voice to this attitude that we all experience, the why. First of all, just that scene was so extraordinary to muster those feelings, and I don't know how many takes that involved, but
one take.
Seriously, that was one take.
One very long take, yes, but it was one take, yeah.
It always amazes me with actors how you're able to summon that, but I just was really struck by that scene, and I wonder about your own prayer life. So you're a man of prayer. How do you pray? What's your kind of style, method, approach to prayer?
It starts pretty much after I open my eyes.
Yeah.
I might have to run to the bathroom really quickly, but I'll just start praying in my head, and then just get on my hands and my knees, and the first thing I do is express my gratitude. I've been so fortunate in so many ways. So expressing that, and then asking for the guidance and the strength and the courage to do what I've been chosen to do, to recognize exactly what that is, not get strayed away or, distracted by all the kind of shiny, glittery things that come along my way, and just trying to be a little bit better every day. And I just feel like when I've done that, then I read my daily devotional, and then even with my physical exercise, I feel like I'm ready to conquer the day, Now something could happen with one of my kids, or, they come down, they're not going to school, they didn't do their homework, they got in trouble the day before, that could kind of derail that, kind of positive, I can tackle anything kind of an attitude and approach to the day, but it always gives me the best chance to be successful throughout the day.
And the Mass is central to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
The
But it was really difficult because obviously I hadn't missed Mass for, well over a decade. And then with COVID, I was kind of left stranded. And then my faith was tested, and I started asking questions why, and then the movie came back and it was a go, and it was like, okay, all the time that I spent, all the little Saturday masses that I did with Father Ed at my house, and all this was like, it's time to step up now, and it's time to deliver.
I go back to that theme of divine providence in your own life. So all the twists and turns and ups and downs, the Lord using you. But when the Lord uses us, it's always for our good. So we use each other, it's kind of manipulative. But when the Lord uses us, it's always for our own good. Yeah. And he's used you in powerful ways. And this, I think, is an expression of his providence, and through your own suffering, your own trials and so on. But bringing you to this point where you can bring this message to the wider world. And I'm grateful, as a churchman, if I can speak on behalf of the church, to thank you for, a positive presentation of parish life, of seminary life, and of a priest, So God bless you for that, and hope the movie is really successful.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
God bless you.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.